Hey guys, Steve at PRL again. Going to go through a quick how to install your catted or catless downpipe on the new Accord. We already had our stage 1 intake because this car was in for dyno testing, so remove the intake and then you're going to come over here, take your overflow bottle out. You'll see that there's a little detent right there. You push that out, pull the bottle straight up, wrestle it out of there. And then you're going to come in here. There's two 10mm headed shoulder bolts on the wiring harness bracket. And then you're going to come up here, take off the two vacuum lines. Already unhooked the wastegate actuator. And you can sort of move this out of the way and expose the next step. Okay, so I have my light out here. You're going to get a 12mm ratchet and extension. And it's sort of hard to see. You'll see right down there is a 12mm headed bolt. 8.125 thread, and then down below the wastegate actuator. Again, it's hard to see, I'm sorry. There's another bolt right under there. And after that, come up, take these coolant crossover brackets off, and bracket to the wall, and then you should be able to wrestle the intake tube out of there. Just to show you a little better, these are the 12mm that are down under the wastegate actuator and on the opposite side of the turbo inlet. And you're going to go up top. It's 10mm for this coolant crossover bracket. I think I said 12mm, they are in fact 10mm heads. And then loosen the bracket there. Take those out, and I'll show you the intake pipe coming. Let's bracket out. Set it to the side. It's now free. Pop that out. You can see where the bolts are a little better now than on the inlet of the turbo. After that, take the primary oxygen sensor out, and then we're going to work on heat shield bolts here, and then one down there. I believe they're 12mm heads as well. And then I'll see you for the next step. It's noteworthy to say that you do need the newer style O2 socket to fit down around the heatsink. Some of these are too fat for the newer cars, and you won't be able to slide all the way in. Just a heads up, you will need a newer style one. Alright, once again, just going to show you. It's hard to see, but 12mm bolt is literally right there. And then before you take the heat shield off, I also suggest taking the engine cover off. It's just rubber clips. You sort of just yank up on it gently and it'll come off. So the heat shield's off. The next step is to remove the secondary O2. You'll see there is a tab you press here. Slide the plug off, and then there's the release right there, and then you'll have two braid clips for the harness. Use a pick and push down on the detents there, work it out without breaking it, and we'll move down below after this, get the secondary O2 out of the cat, and then the flange that goes to the front pipe will be next. Alright, down below here you'll see that it has our front pipe already on it. We just pulled it back off the dyno for testing purposes. You'll see the three 14mm headed bolts, or nuts I should say. Remove those. You're going to want to remove the brackets, one on each side, 14mm headed bolts again. Note the orientation that the bracket goes on the front, or front side of the flange, I'll call that. And then up above I said we were going to remove the O2, the secondary O2. I'm actually going to elect to keep that in there until I remove the cat from the vehicle. It seems a little easier. And then you'll see right above the camera there is a bracket that held the secondary oxygen sensor's harness. 10mm bolt right there. We're also going to pop that off. Okay, so once again, I took the brackets off already. Got the three bolts on the front pipe. This was two bracket bolts, and then here are the other two on this side. I'm going to take the secondary O2 sensor bracket off now, and then we're going to go back up top, take the turbine discharge flange off, and then you can hopefully drop the cat out the bottom here. So you see the turbine outlet flange bolts here. Well, I should say there's two nuts, two bolts. The nuts are diagonal, so there's one there. Down there is the second nut. There's a bolt. And then down, get the focus. Right here is the last bolt. So another note here is the two nuts here are locking nuts. They're sort of hard to get off. What you're going to want to do is crack them loose. As soon as you crack them loose, I'm talking like not even a full turn, you're going to want to spray an ample amount of penetrating oil on the threads in front of the nut, because the locking part of the nut is right there on the tippy top. You can see right here the locking nut's starting to give me a little bit of trouble here. I'll probably end up getting the torches out, heat a cherry red, and then take it off the rest of the way. Alright, torch is going. See what we can get. Pretty lucky. Now I'll go ahead and finish taking this off, and then I'll show you how to pull the cat pipe out once it cools down. Alright guys, back under the car. First thing you want to do is locate that harness for the secondary O2, pull it down. I'm going to turn the camera off. I have to use both hands. Fire the front pipe down, and then sort of take the cat off the turbo, maybe push it up a little bit, get these studs separated, and then we're going to drop the cat straight down the bottom, and everything should come out quite easily. Alright, another trick I've found here is to take this bolt out here, go up through the plastic, take the bolt out here, and that will let you remove this thin stamped steel beam. You'll see that the cat is resting on it right now, and that should be the last step. Tight squeeze, but there it is, coming out. Over here. Next step, with the secondary O2 sensor, and then you're going to have 4 10mm headed 6mm by 1 bolts. Take the heat shield off, and then we'll transfer those to the PRL downpipe and prep it for installation. Here's the hardware bag. You'll notice the J-hook for the secondary O2 sensor. This moves the O2 location up and rotates the O2 so the wiring harness will still clip in like factory. Downpipe hardware. This is for the front pipe to downpipe connection. And then 2 spacers to space the heat shield out appropriately. If you look here, this side will use no spacers. It will go straight to these 2 posts, and then the spacers will be on this side. You can sort of see the line of the flange coming down. Only coming down, the heat shield has to go further over. So that's what these 2 spacers are for. See the nice cast ends. Stainless in the middle. Pretty nice wheels. There you go. Okay, before we put it back up in the car, I'll give you a couple noteworthy steps here. You're going to want to put the J-hook in before you even try to put it up in the car. When you try to spin this in, you end up hitting the block, the transmission, or something else. Pretty miserable time if you don't do it first. And then the shorter spacer goes up at the turbo. The longer spacer goes down the block. That's pretty it. That's it. So, as far as installation goes, I peel this plastic back. Work it up there. And right up there. And make sure I'm going to rotate that up. Like I said, you end up hitting the block. I mean, in the case of the tranny. Make sure you rotate the O2 sensor upward before you go ahead and bolt down the downpipe. See, the downpipe is sitting up on the turbo studs. O2 is rotated up. And I want to put the gasket in here. Use the supplied hardware. It all bolts together just like factory. Please leave it loose until you go up top and get the gasket and turbine outlet flange situated. And then once everything is assembled, you can go ahead back through and snug everything up. Or once again, leave the bolts loose until you assemble the whole system, and then begin snugging them up, starting at the turbo and then working your way down. The turbine flange actually has rotation built into it, so it can actually rotate on the plane of the turbocharger back and forward. Helps us accommodate for any manufacturing errors in both the car and our pieces.